There is a sixth dimension beyond that which is known to man. A multiverse as vast as eternity, as timeless as the Infinity Gems. It is the middle ground between the big two and the indie publishers, between sci-fi and mysticism, and it lies between the pages of the reader's imagination. At the summit of entertainment, the dimension of comics, where a humble service is held. We call this service the Gospel of Comics.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Gospel of Comics. I am your host, the Church of Failure, and with me as always is my patient and understanding co-host, Eric McCartney. How you doing tonight, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good.
Doing better than I am today.
Yeah, technology, man.
Jesus fucking Christ. I had to go live 3 different times. I had to reset an audio thing that was already set. It was literally the worst for a few minutes there. I did not know this show was going to happen. A little bit of an impromptu show.
See, and everybody makes fun of me for being so technologically inept.
Well, it's not that I'm technologically inept. I got it working, didn't I? Well, I still don't have any videos from you.
You did.
Want to go there? You want to go there? We can go there. We can fight about it. We can take this outside. Anyway.
We can.
Anyway.
It's very windy outside here, though, so there'd be a lot of background noise on my end.
Novel Bros hangover is unreal. I know that struggle, buddy. I understand. I definitely
get it. You were getting going pretty hard last night, weren't you, Novel Bro? Or I guess this morning or yesterday morning for you.
Well, let's see here. Where are we at? At everyone. I'll throw that the Discord there. Send. There we go. All right. Close that down.
Oh, you got it
now.
on the Discord?
I do. So.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how many people are aware. Bloodshot, the Valiant Comics title. We briefly talked about it. I don't even know if we were even on the air at the time we were talking about this, but it's one of the books that I would pick up. They had a few different, volumes of it in a discount trade bin at one point in time. And I picked up volume 1 that we read today. And I read it over the course of 2 lunch breaks at work, something like that. And went back and got every subsequent volume of it that I could get. I think up to volume 3 or 4. So I saw that a movie was coming out starring Vin Diesel, and I kind of cringed a little bit. So I figured we could talk about this comic, and we could talk about the upcoming movie starring Vin Diesel. Let me pause that.
Uh-oh.
I didn't have the screen share on yet. But
I have to go back to Skype for that.
Yeah, I figure we could, look at the trailer, kind of give our thoughts on it. It's a cool looking trailer. There's some issues with it. Some people have expressed some, unhappiness with the trailer, and we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about the lesser known Bloodshot entity that is Jason David Frank, which I think is a crying shame that he is not the official Bloodshot. We'll also play a drinking game where you'll take a shot every time I say Bloodshot in this episode. So, all that and more. And eventually we'll just devolve into degeneracy like we always do.
Of course.
But, screen share up? Oh God, no, not yet.
It is.
It is. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at this trailer. This is the official trailer.
All right. I'm ready.
We'll look at this and we'll pause it. We'll comment, and we'll get the audience reaction and let everybody know what we think. So let's go ahead and get this set up.
And initiate sequence. Gina, I'm home.
Memories are made of this.
What is this place?
I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this, but you got yourself killed. At RST, we'd rebuild the most important assets in the U.S. military. Soldiers like yourself. You're the first who we've successfully managed to bring back, but improved, enhanced. With the technology in your veins, you have an army inside you that will not only make you stronger, it will heal you instantly.
Holy shit.
Now tell me, do you remember anything?
So, just from the beginning here, and you guys, I don't know if you saw it. Let's take this down real quick and pull the image back up. I know Vin Diesel's a white guy, but he ain't this white. They could have used some makeup, some after image editing. I mean, they gave him some red eyes, which was kind of cool, but they're really not going for any of this aesthetic, are they? They're just like, fuck it, we'll just let Vin Diesel play Vin Diesel and we'll call him Bloodshot.
Yeah, or Vinny D, as I call him, casually.
Oh, okay. So you're cool with him? You got it like that?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I mean, besides that, though, I mean, this opening little bit seems pretty cool.
yeah.
Right?
Know,
Like the like the effect of like the nanites. Yeah, the nanites like stitching them back together. Visually it looks like Bloodshot. I'll give them that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against it. I don't have a problem with this movie, personally. I have a problem with the aesthetics. They're not, using them to their full extent. But, let's just see where it goes.
All right.
Where are you going?
I've got unfinished business. I'm gonna find the man who murdered my wife and kill him.
Oh, that's not good. All right, shut him down. And initiate sequence. Okay, who is the next target for elimination?
Memories are made of this.
Tell me, do you remember anything?
Do I know you guys?
I don't think so.
So, we're already picking up the theme here, right? Deja vu over and over again.
Yeah.
And that's part of what we're going to be talking about coming up here in a minute. Why some fans are upset over the Bloodshot trailer is the aptly named title of the article, but a lot of the plot points seem to be given away, and from someone who's read a good bit of Bloodshot, at least the second iteration of him, and we'll talk about that a little bit too, but from somebody who's read a little bit of this character, I mean, this trailer is a 2-minute condensation of pretty much the origin of the character.
Yeah, does seem to be a little. That's kind of a thing with trailers nowadays. They give away like the whole like plot of movies instead of just showing you some cool images with some dramatic voiceover and stuff like they used to do back in the day. I mean, that's what trailers are now. Basically, tell you what's going to happen in the movie, so you just know so you can decide basically there if you want to see it.
Well, yeah,
right?
but
Is that just
me?
me?
Well, Marvel
like
has
trailers
taken
in general.
Marvel has taken to even putting fake scenes and digitally altering things from the trailer to not give away the ending. So I don't know. There did seem to be a lot of just distaste towards this trailer, but let's finish it out.
They've been manipulating you. What you think is real sometimes ain't.
And initiate sequence.
me for her.
You sure about that? Revenge is what makes a man like you exceptional.
You know nothing about men like me.
That is absolutely fantastic.
I feel like I just heard this. Are they playing this on repeat?
So that's the trailer. What'd you think?
Yeah, the first bit was cool. Then when they did it again, it got kind of dumb. And then they did it again,
Yeah.
and it got dumber.
Um.
And then his little quip about have they played this song again? Like I really hate those like meta jokes that
Yeah.
are in everything nowadays. Unless it's like a Deadpool. It's the only time like those kind of meta jokes are really acceptable, or if it's some sort of satire or Deadpool. It's the only times I will allow for meta related jokes.
Right. And we know this, but the audience might not. Bloodshot is not a satirical character whatsoever. He's played very, very straight, very through and through. Um, you look at the character, and there's nothing funny about him. His life is kind of tragic, if you want to be completely honest about
Yeah.
it. But
There's not even any like light humor in the book to kind of diffuse the tension and weight of the story either. Like
No.
you'll get sometimes.
no, and Mrs.
I think
Church
that's
in the
part of
chat.
why I enjoyed it.
We'll take this time while Mrs. Church is in the chat and let everyone know that there is a Gospel of Comics Instagram account. If you want to go follow that, if you do the Instagram thing, she is running that and letting people know about Halloween books and comic books and things like that right now. So
All
it's
right.
something to definitely check out. The link is in the description down below.
I'm over on that Instagram action too. Just Ayrton McCartney like everything else. If you guys are going over there anyways.
You gotta give me your link. I'll put it down below. Um, Triple X with a high-budget, unintentional lampoon of the action genre changed my mind. I don't think anybody will be changing your mind on that one. But, I mean, the trailer looks good. I'm not going to dog it. It seems like a fun popcorn flick. And, it kind of like mixes Inception with kind of that grainy feel that Blade had. But what a lot of people
Yeah.
are saying is that trailer gives away too much of the plot of the movie, especially because you're going at a character. Bloodshot is not a character that is going to be well known. You don't see a lot of merchandise. You don't see a lot of promotion for the character. He's never crossed over with a Batman or a Spider-Man, so you don't have that kind of auxiliary exposure. You either read Valiant comics or you don't, and the only way you would really know about Bloodshot is if you read Valiant comics. So, maybe that's where we should start in explaining when we get into the storyline, because Valiant Comics has kind of a weird history. Right now, Heather Antos is one of their editors, and probably the main reason that I'm not buying their books. But, there's hope for everything under the sky, because we did review a Zenoscope book last night. I might not remember it, but we did. But anyway, let's take a look at why some fans might be disappointed in that trailer.
Yeah, I could definitely see how. And I don't know how to get the actual link
What do you mean?
to that. Anyway,
To
I'll
the-
figure it out later.
Okay. So, That's the title of the article, Why Some Fans Are Upset Over the First Bloodshot Trailer. With a bullet to the face and a bunch of dramatic memories rising to the surface, the first trailer of Sony's Bloodshot is finally here. So that's Sony doing the movie, and who will probably be trying to claim the rights to this video later.
Yeah, that's probably the first thing that I'm upset about is Sony doing it.
And after what felt like an eternity of waiting, the footage surely would have been thunderous applause of about 1,000 posts per minute on social media. Vin Diesel playing Ray Garrison, a murdered Marine who comes back to life and is infused with nanotechnology to become a killing machine known as Bloodshot. The Academy Award-winning screenwriter Eric Heiserer, joining forces with scribe Jeff Wadlow to pen the script. First-time feature film director Dave Wilson bringing the famous Valiant comic character to the big screen for the first time ever. Sounds like a recipe for a comic book movie success that would start with the release of the first trailer. But when Sony dropped the first Bloodshot trailer on Monday, October 21st, many fans were left disappointed by what they saw, and here's why. So, Bloodshot trailer spoils the whole movie. The biggest gripe some fans have about the first Bloodshot trailer is they don't feel like it's a trailer at all. They feel like it's the entire film condensed into 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Many people across Twitter and the comment section of the trailer on the YouTube expressed dissatisfaction over the trailer seemingly spoiled the narrative beats of the film. Whoever made this trailer should be fired. Spoiled the entire movie in just 2 minutes, tweeted user Andy the Aquarian. Another wondered why the trailer didn't show off just a few action sequences instead of apparently laying out all of the cards on the table. Seriously, why did they give away the whole plot? Only a few action sequences should be enough to build some hype. Over on YouTube, even more people were upset at the evidently spoiler-heavy trailer. So, you get the idea there. And this was my main gripe. In the Bloodshot trailer, Vin Diesel doesn't look like the comic book character version of Bloodshot.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be that hard to just in post, just gray him up a little bit.
Right. Maybe give him some hair.
Can he even grow hair?
I don't know.
I don't think I've ever seen Vin Diesel with hair.
I don't think I have, no. Looks very generic. I would have preferred something that embraced the comic's origins more. I mean, he doesn't look like Bloodshot at all, just Vin Diesel, wrote a Twitter user by the name of Andy Haig. And not embracing the look of the comic, they've made it seem more bland and generic. Again, that's kind of what my complaint about Watchmen was, right?
Yeah.
So, Watchmen could have been called anything else, and if it didn't use the trappings of Watchmen, you'd never know it was a Watchmen movie. I feel like you could say the same thing about what we just watched in a trailer. If you didn't say the word Bloodshot, if you didn't post it up every 2 seconds, you could tell a story about a nanomachine-laden soldier that wasn't Bloodshot and just have it be Vin Diesel. Maybe at the end of the movie he gets his signature look, right, and that's how you set yourself apart from the comic book storyline and tell your own story. But if you're going to try and cash in on the name Bloodshot and Valiant Comics and all that, I feel like you do have to kind of show that in that initial trailer, right?
I would think so.
I
mean that would have been a way better reveal if they didn't call it Bloodshot and they did what you said, and he goes and he gets that look at the end.
Right.
That would have been a much better reveal.
So, let's see. I've never heard of Valiant Comic, and apparently that's a good thing. Chat. Antos is a moron among morons. What was that, Aaron?
Oh, I said a picture of Vin Diesel with hair coming to you in the side chat.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll get that pulled up. Oh, Jesus, that's terrifying.
Yeah, isn't it?
Good Lord. Why won't it let me save those? Come on.
Yeah, I had to look it up. I do it for you guys in the chat.
You do. I'll get that pulled up here in a minute. He does at least have the hair for it. I mean, you got that going for you.
Yeah, he does.
So, get that pulled up here.
Manliness would eradicate it.
Yes. You're not wrong. Why will it not? What kind of image is that?
Huh?
What kind of image is it? It's a JPEG. It should go.
I just copied and pasted it off of Google.
This is the best, folks. This is the best entertainment that money can buy right here. Oh, God damn it.
I was trying to work technology.
Yes. I'll have to add it manually here. Add, browse.
I thought you said you could click and drag with this
Shut
new
up.
OBS.
I know what I said, and it works sometimes, and other times it hates me. If I want your opinion, I'll give it to you. I said it. There we go. It's Vin Diesel with hair for everybody. Please tell me that I'm not the only one that's mortified by that.
And a Mexican dirt stash. Don't forget that part.
That's it's rough. It's rough. I like I hate the delay on. Doesn't Vin Diesel have a twin? I don't know.
Does he?
I don't know. I've heard that. But yeah, there we go. There's Vin Diesel up on the window there. Enjoy it. Let it soak in. Let that be part of your nightmares tonight.
We might have to end with that image. That might have to be our closing out.
Yeah, I'll keep it on here. Might play some creepy music or something. Put that back up on the screen.
Yeah, find some old 50s theremin horror sci-fi music.
Right. So, yeah, but the look is definitely part of one of the reasons that people don't like it. Someone else tweeted, I don't know a ton about Bloodshot, but I'm fairly sure he doesn't just look like regular Vin Diesel. More responses in the same nature came pouring in following the release of the first Bloodshot trailer. Why doesn't Bloodshot look like Bloodshot? Love how Bloodshot doesn't look like Bloodshot at all. And he doesn't even look like Bloodshot from the comics, just Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel looks like a gay Joey Diaz.
Like a what? Joey Diaz, yeah.
Diaz, however you say it.
Oh, man. You're not wrong, Novel Bro. Anyway, one fan on Reddit was particularly displeased with the character design, or perhaps more accurately, I can speak, lack thereof. Shown in the first Bloodshot trailer, they wrote in a thread, the subreddit, or our movie subreddit, I'm not usually a stickler for this sort of thing, but the most core aspect of the character design is that his body is pure white, he has giant red dots and a giant red dot in his chest. And his eyes are red. It's completely abandoned for peachy Vin Diesel, and I guess it just feels like they didn't even want to try to make an adaptation to the comic. Maybe I'm bitter, and I just wanted more from this. When watching the trailer, there's clearly references to it, but truly it's just pathetic and lazy. And I've got some images to talk about that and show just how easy it is for a low-budget movie to pull off this look. And why it's just kind of not good that this big-budget Sony movie isn't even trying. Of course.
Yeah, with the Roger Corman Fantastic Four.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I'll show you. You haven't even seen this. This isn't going to be new even to you. Of course, there's a strong chance that the reason why Bloodshot simply looks like everyday Vin Diesel in the first trailer is because his transformation to the pale-skinned, red-eyed character fans know from the Valiant comic will happen elsewhere in the film. During a sequence not shown in the trailer, since the footage did reveal quite a bit about the plot of Bloodshot, perhaps the film team's holding off on revealing Bloodshot in all of his glory until later. And that'd be kind of dumb. Though many fans have voiced their disappointment over the first Bloodshot trailer, the others haven't let the footage stifle their excitement. In fact, there were some easier to pick up what Sony put down. I admit I watched the Bloodshot movie trailer around 50 times. That's excessive. Another tweeted the first
50
trailer.
times.
Yeah. Actually made them more interested in the film, as they were previously on the fence. I wasn't sold on it at first, but after seeing the trailer, I'm fully sold because damn, it looks cool. Another corner of the Twitter sphere, there were some entirely disappointed nor totally impressed with the first look at Bloodshot, like Twitter user Mastertainment, okay, who tweeted that Bloodshot trailer gives me mixed feelings. I'm super excited to see a Valiant movie, but I'm worried about the story and acting. I don't know. I'm going to wait for the next trailer, but I am pumped, and I've been waiting on this for so long. Thankfully, the Sony executive, Bloodshot cast and creative team, and the fans at home, this is just the first taste of a forthcoming flick as Bloodshot nears its February 21st, 2020 release date. So there's your release date that you asked about. There will likely be several more trailers, teasers, TV spots, promotional material rolled out to boost anticipation. If you weren't blown away by this initial trailer, perhaps a future one will change your mind. Until that happens, count down the days. Also starring Guy Pearce, Ezia Gonzalez, Toby Kebbell, Ramon Morris. I don't know any of these people, so they're really selling it on Vin Diesel. So, yeah, February. Half a year.
Guy Pearce sounds familiar.
Half a year. So, I don't know. I get it, though. And I saw that, and I didn't pay a lot of attention to the trailer when I watched it at first, but, you know, going back and watching it again, yeah, I can see where people are disappointed on it. Vinny Karate Raffle. Jesus Christ. I'm not saying that
no,
it
don't
can be
do that.
clipped out. I've clipped enough rackets to know where that goes. So, but I did mention earlier that there was another movie out there called Ninjak versus the Valiant Universe, and or Ninjak kills the Valiant Universe or something like that. I think it was like a web series or a direct to web movie or something. Sources tell me that you can find bits and pieces or the entirety of it on YouTube should you search for it, but I am not aware of this because I would never ever endorse acquiring things without purchasing them through the proper channels. But
Oh, of course not.
I may or may not have seen this in its entirety and think that it's in fact just cheesy greatness. But we've seen the trailer, and we've seen what Bloodshot's supposed to look like. So I've compiled a few images here that I want to compare here. So on the left side of the screen, you have Jason David Frank, a.k.a. Tommy Oliver from the Power Rangers franchise, dressed up to look like Bloodshot, right? For Ninjak versus the Valiant Universe. He looks pretty fucking good as Bloodshot, doesn't he?
I don't know yet. My screen share is catching up.
Okay.
Because, of course it is.
Do I need to turn it off and turn it back on again?
I'll just go back over to the stream and just fast forward till I see it. Okay, there we go. All right, I see it. Yeah, he looks just a wee bit more like Bloodshot than Vinny D there.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fantastic outfit. The makeup's just right. And for those that don't know, Jason David Frank is completely covered in tattoos. So they not only took his tattoos
wow.
out, but gave him, that pigment for a low budget,
That is impressive.
cheap movie. Not this big blockbuster Sony thing. So I mean, between these three, I'm gonna say, why didn't they just cast Jason David Frank again and get his makeup artist? Right.
I do want to know though why the red circle seems to be on his T-shirt and not like part of him.
You know, it's an aesthetic. Again, you have that option. You can use that. Mrs. Church said, Jason David Frank a good enough actor, though? I mean, we really can't use Power Rangers as a reference. That's blasphemy.
We can definitely use Power Rangers as a reference.
That's blasphemy, and you should feel bad about it.
Do not blaspheme in here.
Power Rangers is absolutely a verifiable reference. He's got like 18 seasons. I'm pretty sure Saban just owned him. But I don't know. He looked great as Bloodshot. That's my, general consensus there. And that's kind of what got me wanting to do this show, because I didn't realize how much I liked this character in the iteration that I read him in. Like I said, I read about 4 or 5 volumes in 2013, 2014. 5 years ago. God. Before Heather Antos went to work for Valiant Comics, or right when she started. And I mean, the storyline that was going on there at the time was really good. I enjoyed it. Not so much anymore. Didn't a Power Ranger end up on death row? I think I heard something about that. I know the Yellow Ranger from the original series died in a car wreck after filming The Crow or something. The Crow 2 or something.
Yeah. Didn't like a bunch of weird shit happen to a bunch of the Power Ranger actors though?
Oh yeah, that was definitely a cursed, a cursed setting. I don't know. It just, I know that Kimberly, Amy Jo Johnson is still around. Yeah, there was one from a different generation that murdered someone. Amy Jo Johnson was the original Pink Ranger.
Oh, okay.
But Larry says in the chat, Vin Diesel is such a flat actor. Yeah, I completely agree with that. His Fast and the Furious and Triple X movies carried him a good while, but
yeah, he's pretty one note.
You let him shoot at things.
Red Ranger
actually
legit does gay porn.
That's a rumor. That's false. It's a guy that looks a lot like him. The real Red Ranger, Austin St. John, is overweight and a sketchy, like, used car salesman type businessman. Yeah. Yeah, I am ashamed to say, but I have done a lot of research on the Power Rangers.
You mean into whether he does gay porn or not?
All of them, but yes. That was one of the first things that I tried to figure out, because Austin St. John is not the gay porn actor. He addressed that at a convention. There's actually still a convention that goes on every year called Power Morphicon.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that. I was the Red Ranger for Halloween for like 3 years in a row when I was a kid.
Yeah. I was a couple of different ones, but yeah. Power Rangers that was me coming up. It does look just like him. I think Amy Jo Johnson did do some soft core porn at one point in time.
I mean, what else are you gonna do after doing that show, though?
You didn't do all the research and tell me. Like, you did the research and told me, and then I had to do the research to make sure that you were right. Because there's no way you can be more nerdy than me. That's not true. She does tell me about a lot of things, and I'm just wrong a lot. Unless it's comic books, I don't really take anything that I say with anything more than a grain of salt. I know better. As soon as I know that I'm right about something, I'll absolutely be proven wrong. But
Isn't that how it goes, though?
oh, absolutely, I've gotten used to it. But anyway, no, I wanted to bring that up because I actually kept up with Jason David Frank on social media for a long time because he was talking about doing the Bloodshot movie around the time that I was reading the comics. And then it never got announced to be released as a major film, and I was like, that's weird. And then I realized it wasn't supposed to be a major film, and I was just like, oh, that explains a lot. And then I saw it, and I was like, yeah, I'm glad this wasn't a major film. This is pretty bad. This is pretty bad. Definitely worth a watch, though. It's like an hour and a half, I think.
I'm definitely gonna have to go look that up because that's I love B movies.
Oh, yeah. That definitely, it might even be as low as a C movie. But
Well, see, they're so much better than the big blockbuster, millions of dollar budget movies. Because even if they're really bad and like cheesy and stuff, like you can kind of tell, like the people that make these, like they make them because they really want to. They're not making them to try and make billions of dollars. And
right.
so there's something kind of like quaint about like these really bad cheesy movies that I just enjoy.
Well, yeah, and I think everybody does to a certain degree. I think that's why they exist.
Which STD did you get, Matt? Chlamydia?
I knew it was coming. Syphilis, probably, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah.
You got to get that looked at before it gets too bad and they can't get it out of your brain. That's what happened to Capone, man.
Yeah.
By the way, anybody that hasn't checked out Count Dankula's latest Mad Lads, it's a 45-minute documentary on Al Capone that everyone should watch. The original Scarface.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
Huh.
It's pretty good. I enjoyed it.
All right, then.
Anyway, we step over to Inverse, and they've got Hard Science, No Universe, how Bloodshot aims to reboot superhero movies. So, big talk. See what they have to say about it. But the world is overrun with Marvel and DC movies on the big screen. But in 2020, a ghostly white super soldier, really, from a different universe will enter the fray. I don't think Vin Diesel's ghostly white. And superhero movies might never be the same. In February 2020, Sony Pictures
I don't know about that.
will release Bloodshot, the first Hollywood adaptation of a Valiant Comics character. But while Bloodshot is based on the best-selling comic, filmmaker insists it is unlike anything else with capes and cowls.
Really?
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of reminiscence to what Blade was like back in the day, so...
Yeah.
Rather than compete against Marvel and DC, Bloodshot aims to stand apart as a loving tribute to gritty, violent sci-fi action blockbusters of the 80s and 90s. So Blade.
Deadpool.
Nah, Deadpool definitely was a superhero movie. It was just an adult superhero movie.
Yeah, but there's still that like 80s violence and stuff and over the topness in it.
Oh, absolutely.
That's more what I mean by that.
We're not following a tried and tested movie structure, says producer Dinesh Shamdasani. Sorry if I butchered that. Former Valiant CEO and chief content creator, chief content officer. Shut up. In an interview with Inverse, that is a very rare post-internet age where you legitimately don't know what's going to happen. The opportunities are endless. Along with Shamdasani is Hunter Goranson, VP Brand and Content Strategy at HiveMind, the film production company.
What is with these names? Jesus Christ.
They hate me. Movies like RoboCop and Total Recall, some of the movie favorites, they don't feel safe, he says. The stakes are high in concept. Bloodshot has a sense that anything can happen. Yes, but it happens over and over and over again. Anything can happen 14 times in a row in this movie.
Right.
Directed by Dave Wilson and starring Vin Diesel, Bloodshot follows Ray Garrison, a U.S. soldier in a top-secret program that injects millions of nanomachines into his bloodstream, endowing him with superpowers. Adopting the name Bloodshot, Ray begins a crimson-soaked journey of revenge against people who made him inhuman. There's the trailer we looked at. In the film's trailer...
No, well, bro, this article makes me nauseous.
Gone to Korea. Yeah. So... In the film's trailer, will be attached to the theatrical release of Terminator Dark Fate on November 1st, but weeks ago at Comic-Con, director Dave Wilson and producers Shamdasani and Goranson, both of whom were involved in bringing Valiant Comics back from bankruptcy in 2012, revealed to Inverse what kind of anti-superhero movie awaits them in Bloodshot. It's not a traditional superhero origin movie. When we were working on the film from the jump, we asked ourselves, why does Bloodshot feel different from any other superhero movie out there? That starts
Because
with
it's a
the visual
sci-fi comic, not a superhero comic?
Basically. A lot of our frames look like Ridley Scott and Michael Bay. When Vin Diesel's on screen, there's an extreme foliage in the foreground that gives the scene compression that mimics the emotional state of the character. This is just high concept bullshit that nobody really cares about except critics.
Yeah.
He adds Marvel and DC try to imitate commercial comic books, which are symmetrical in terms of framing, color, clean frame, clean movement. When we talk about our favorite comics, they're not like that. They're Dutch angles, they're grittier. This film is closer to that. Obviously, someone's never read The Dark Knight Returns. Go fuck yourself, you pompous prick. You're not doing anything original. Like, I'm sorry. Hellboy did this way better than you're going to. Blade.
To quote.
Go ahead. Sorry.
To quote Robert Plant, there's nothing new under the sun.
No, there isn't. It's obviously a paid fluff piece from a shameless buzzword promotion. Nightclub promoters do this, not movie review writers. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree 100%. And this guy's talking to this director and these showrunner, or these, I guess, producers, or executive producers, or whatever the fuck they are. And they're talking like they're reinventing the wheel. They're not. Anybody that saw Hellboy saw a comic book movie that was not a superhero movie. Anybody that saw Blade saw a comic book movie that wasn't a superhero movie. Deadpool, like you mentioned earlier, again, anti-hero, not really a superhero movie. More comic book trappings, but it was mainly meant in more of a jest to the genre than anything. This just sounds like this guy's got his head so far up his ass that he can't see out of it.
Alita Battle Angel, technically it's a manga, but still.
Right.
And that was a pretty good movie.
Yeah. And, I mean, even to say, like, the idea that Endgame and Infinity War were, cookie-cutter movies, that's just wrong.
Yeah. I mean, Endgame, maybe a little bit. Infinity War, though, no.
Well, it wasn't a cookie-cutter movie. It wasn't, just...
No.
Superhero shows up, beats a bad guy after overcoming something.
True. But, I mean, as far as those two go, Infinity War was a lot less superhero-y, if you will.
Yeah. And I mean, Endgame again, like it wasn't your standard superhero fare. Like I said, none of these. All right, Daredevil, the TV show, Daredevil, the TV show
Yes.
for like everybody's been trying to break the superhero mold since the superhero mold got formed around the time of Iron Man 2.
Right.
So,
I mean,
uh,
Captain America Winter Soldier, still my favorite Marvel movie.
right,
Not really a superhero movie. It's a spy thriller
yeah, um,
or political thriller.
right,
I mean, it's, quit sniffing your own farts. Get over yourself.
right. You're not. And in the words of Scorsese, you're not like reinventing the wheel here, or whatever the fuck he said. This is just, it's a like from what I just saw, it really is gonna kind of be a theme park because it's just gonna be a lot of explosions, a guy getting shot in the face and being able to kill the guy that shot him in the face. You can
Right.
you can turn down it's Terminator and Blade mixed together with a little
Yeah.
bit of RoboCop in there, right?
Now, now, if you had shot the entire movie through green Jello, like put the camera lens up against a block of green Jello, then
Right.
yes, I would concede that you're doing something different. But besides that, doesn't really look like you're doing anything that different.
Well, he had
Now I
Marvel.
kind of want to shoot a movie through green Jello. Novel bro, let's start working on a screenplay.
There are no
I
bombastic.
know a guy.
There are no bombastic plans for a Valiant cinematic universe. Bloodshot will only feature Bloodshot and his world, and whatever sequels emerge will be tied exclusively to Bloodshot. So you're already curtailing and pigeonholing yourself from an ability to, you know, stretch this out and make money, or you're gonna have to eat those words as soon as this becomes popular, and they're like, "Fuck it, greenlight it all." Either way, you lose saying something like that. So good job.
Right. Then we're gonna have Valiant Studios as well as Marvel Studios,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Disney.
Disney's gonna buy them. Then you're gonna
Yep.
have a crossover with the Punisher and Bloodshot. And
Right. When we were at Valiant Comics, there was a philosophy that the best idea wins. For us, it meant a shared universe. Valiant's the only universe built from the ground up to be a shared universe, he explains. That's not true.
nah,
Again, that's
gonna have to press X to doubt in that one, buddy.
yeah. Marvel rebooted with the what was it, Universe 2 or Next or whatever that imprint was, and it was a shared universe. It's where we ended up getting Starbrand and a couple of other characters. Um, I mean, the Ultimate Universe was an offshoot of the Marvel Universe. It was meant to be a self-contained shared universe. The Marvel Universe
Yeah.
itself was being written to be a shared universe pretty much since Spider-Man. Probably before.
Well, yeah, because Spider-Man crossed over with
What they mean to say...
the Fantastic Four, like pretty early, right?
Well, what they mean to say is that Valiant Comics is the only comic publisher that was founded with the idea of a shared universe. That would be a more accurate statement.
Mm.
But to say your universe is
That
the
would
only
be
one
fair.
built from a group to be and grouped up, or from the ground up to be a shared universe, that would be, a little more accurate statement. But he explains if we're
And
going to...
Matt Christie, this article is just someone trying to convince their readers that it's actually possible to pick up a turd by the clean end.
Well, it's almost over. So there's really not anything else to say, but yeah, it's just a bunch of fart huffing from the director. Like I read through it, and the first couple of paragraphs, I was just like, okay, this is somebody that's really, really good with making a lot of the end with glitter on it. Anyway, but here's the meat of it. But Bloodshot is more than an argument against the bloated cinematic universe. Dave Wilson, who has spent most of his career at Blur Studios producing cinematic trailers for gaming's biggest hits. Oh, shit. That's his fucking... Those are his qualifications, guys. He, he recorded trailers for video games like BioShock Infinite and The Division. There's his,
Oh, shit.
there's his pedigree.
Watch out, everybody.
Oh, Jesus.
We're about to have the new Steven Spielberg up in here.
Yeah. Yeah, he's doing something different. We might get green jello out of this after all, man.
Nah, me and Novel Bro, we're gonna trademark that shit.
I grew up reading science fiction, but there's a subset of science fiction I love, science fact. My favorite authors are Michael Crichton and Daniel Suarez. That's what Bloodshot is to me. Bloodshot found a technical grounding in the comics as a huge nerd that I can get behind. Now, he's telling me that Bloodshot is science fact because we definitely have a man who had nanotechnology in his blood that keeps him from ever dying ever.
Yeah, well, and he said he preferred science fact and then did not list Arthur C. Clarke as an author.
Yeah. Go fuck yourself, guy.
Like, really? The guy who said eventually, or magic is just science we haven't discovered yet? Like, even if you don't like him as an author, at least say that to sound like you're intelligent. Come on.
Well,
anyways.
In preparing for this show, I figured, why not introduce you to another one of the books that I really enjoyed, and didn't really know how to curtail it in any other way. And I was like, well, we're reviewing this and we're looking at this trailer, so let's look at volume 1 of the book.
Well, first, Novel Bro. Damn, Wilson, save some pussy for the rest of us. Hey, what's up? What's up, Cartoon? Thanks for stopping by.
You came right on time, buddy. But yeah, so here we have Bloodshot Volume 1. And like I was saying earlier, in the early 90s, Valiant Comics initially launched, and they did create several characters, Bloodshot, Rye, the Divinity, a lot of other titles that persist to this day, but they have been rebooted, I think, once or twice at this point. So this is probably the second.
I really hate reboots.
Well, I mean, after a while, I think they're kind of necessary, especially if your audience completely, changed.
Yeah.
You don't... here's the thing.
It's just exhausting.
This is my thoughts on reboots, right? There's a certain amount of sense to, if you're going to keep writing stories about a character, like, let's say Captain America, right? World War One or World War Two was his, big war, World War Two. And then he was frozen after World War Two, and that's how they brought him into the future. But eventually, you're going to have a writer whose only, ideas of what World War II were came from history books and not being there, or having a family member that was there, or having a first-hand account, that kind of thing. And eventually, you're going to have people that aren't able to, do these kind of details, and they're going to want to know why Captain America didn't go to whatever other military conflicts were going on in history. Why Captain America wasn't in Vietnam. Why he wasn't in Korea.
Well, because he's not Wolverine, who can be at Nagasaki and D-Day at the same time.
Look, he was, though.
I mean, obviously.
It was just a short swim. But anyway, so there's kind of a necessity in that regard. Now, do I appreciate it? No. I would much rather have a new character that filled that gap. Have a Captain America, quote unquote, that was inspired by Steve Rogers or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, it gets exhausting. Kind of part of the reason I stopped reading comic books is like, for example, I've been reading Wolverine since I was like 11, 12, something like that.
Yeah.
So somewhere in there. And, it gets exhausting trying to keep up with, if you try and follow like one character for that long, it's like, God damn, this is annoying. I mean, I've read other stuff too, but as everybody knows at this point, Wolverine is definitely the one character that I've been reading for the longest, and probably have read the most stuff collectively about. And after a while, with reboots and then him dying and then coming back to life, but it's not him; it's Old Man Logan from the other universe, and all this weird shit, it gets annoying, frankly.
So
after a while.
Here's the first main gripe that I have. You remember that Bloodshot in this this series is called Ray something or other?
Yeah.
Well, Bloodshot's actual name was Angelo Mortale.
Yeah, he mentioned something like that in this book, right?
Yeah.
When that nurse asked what his name is.
Mm-hmm. But
I said, I don't know, it's Angelo or Ray or generic white guy name number 7.
Yeah, so they do, they delete his memories and all that good shit. Let's see here. Notable alias, Angelo Mortale, Psyot Killer, alter ego Raymond Garrison. So, but anyway, he's become the ultimate killing machine. Yeah, go ahead.
Basically, his secret identity has a secret identity.
Yes.
It's secret identityception.
Yes. And
okay.
His secret identity is what keeps him grounded as well. So.
Right.
But he's become the ultimate killing machine. His memories have been erased and his blood has been infused with microscopic computers called nanites. These allow him to heal wounds quickly, dominate electronic devices, and fully control every aspect of his body to maximize his physical capabilities. A modern-day Frankenstein's monster, he wages a one-man war taking out the mob, the police, and his covert government creators in a struggle to find out who he is, or who he was, and what he has become. So he started out as a mob killer, and then in the reboot, he was he was just part of a Project Lazarus, I believe, was the name of the.
Oh, how original!
Yeah. So he was codenamed Bloodshot, but he wasn't a mob guy, and that's kind of interesting to me because I never got into original Valiant. I've always meant to, but all the comics out there in so little time. But so the first set seems to be more mob oriented. The second one is more sci-fi, like secret covert operations oriented, and that's what we're reading here. This is the reboot. Technically, this is volume 2 of Bloodshot instead of what would essentially be referred to as volume 1.
You lied to me? You said this was volume 1.
It's volume 1 of volume 2, you fuck. Confused yet?
Good. Now we got volumeception going on in here.
Volumes. Oh yeah. So this is Bloodshot setting the world on fire. Oh God, more names.
See,
Dwayne Swerzinski.
That's what they should have called the movie. They should have called the movie something like Setting the World on Fire or something like that, which, the people that know are going to know what it's about, but it leaves it open-ended, and you can kind of make the movie kind of more mysterious, make it kind of like a mystery sci-fi thriller. if you really want to do something different, don't just put the character's name as the name of the movie. Name it something. The first movie, just name it off of a random storyline that you're basing the movie off of. So like the hardcore fans, they're going to know what it's about, but everybody else is going to be something different, and then you can kind of unpack it from there and make it a lot more interesting. Anyways, sorry, continue.
Well, now that we know how you feel, suppose we get into the story. You open up and there's this secret military op going on, and there's apparently a girl that is essentially, it seems like she has electrical powers. It's kind of what we're given, and these guys are just like, all right, well, we just got to get Deadshot in. Oh God, come on, there we go. Okay, yeah, we just got to get Deadshot in here. We can't, not Deadshot, Bloodshot.
No.
Fuck.
Now, is that girl the same girl that they have all like BDSM tied up later in the volume?
Yes.
I was super confused about that part. Okay.
Yeah, they steal her. The image should be coming back up on screen in a second. There we go. There we go. I'm not as technically unsavvy as I thought I was. Yes, I am. I really am. I'm terrible.
We're so good at this.
I'm the worst. You open up and you see what this guy sees himself as in his head. He's blonde. He's a bigger guy. He just got back from some kind of military conflict, and he's telling his wife that he has to go back in, but he's not going to be near the field. He'll be fine. And then you cut over immediately to him being shoved out of an airplane, essentially, and then lit the fuck up. But this is all part of the plan, because obviously he can heal himself, so this is how he is supposed to get inside of the enemy base. Like, you see him getting lit up with a missile right here. Pretty great. And that's one of the first things that I did want to talk about is this is fantastic artwork. It's fantastic colors.
Oh, yeah.
I have no problem identifying the characters. There's no confusion. It doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of lazy panels.
Are you having difficulties in the chat there, Matt? Retracting your messages, just trying to spell this one thing? Having some issues with autocorrect there, buddy?
No, I think he's making fun of me because I was like, Deadshot, Spot Shot, Bloodshot. Oh, okay, he did do it intentionally. Okay. Took him long enough to get that one right. Okay. All right. I think he's just making fun of me, secretly, covertly.
Probably true. But anyways, the one thing about the art in this, it's real weighty. Like you can feel like the impacts of like the explosion or like the bullets hitting and stuff like that. It's super like dense, I guess.
Right. Well,
if that's a word you can use for art.
Yeah. But then you get this kind of cool spread out of his body regenerating itself, and then him getting up off the table from getting hit by a missile. And as the nanites kind of put him back together. And very suddenly you find out that he has to eat protein in order to keep the nanites healthy and allow them to do their job, which I thought was a cool aesthetic, cool little, I don't know, detail to add in there.
That's
you've got a limitation, so to speak, but nothing, too.
That is another thing I'll say. The full page spreads books are awesome.
Yeah. So
there's always so much detail, so much going on.
Well,
Oh, Matt Christie in the chat. There's definitely a sense of motion. It looks alive. Yes, that's it. That's what I was going for in my Scotch-induced ramblings.
you're the one drinking tonight.
By the way, I hate you for telling me about this. I hate you for telling me about this famous grouse, by the way.
Yeah, you're good. You're welcome. So,
Fucking delicious, and it's only $25. Jesus.
Bloodshot is also shown after this to be able to disguise his appearance. He can look like anybody by altering his color and facial structure and all that stuff. Which I can already see it now. Everybody's like, well, that just
the original transracial.
Well, that that's already going to be the first thing that people bring up. Oh, well, that he can just make himself look like Vin Diesel. Then that's why he looks like Vin Diesel. No, that's lazy. He normally looks like Bloodshot. He has to try to look like somebody else. I don't think he can keep it up all the time. He shouldn't try to look like Vin Diesel the whole movie.
And he does it, out of necessity.
Right. It's just part of his mission to disguise himself. So that's what he does. But, you get some really graphic stuff in this book as well. I don't know that I should show a lot of this, but he shoots a guy in the back of the head, point blank range, and it's all on panel.
For how often he's naked in this book, we didn't get one penis.
Right. You sound a little disappointed by that.
Which, no, I kind of appreciated that after we've been covering Alan Moore.
Well, I'll be completely candid.
I was actually kind of shocked.
I'll be completely candid here. I was gonna send you From Hell, and then I realized how long it was. It's like 10 issues. Didn't figure you'd appreciate that at all.
I probably would have had time.
Oh no, but I just didn't figure you would have appreciated it. So.
10 issues of just dicks.
Yes. Sorry, wrong button. Gunshot.
If I want that, I'll go to the gay night at the local dance club.
Ayrton, you're just digging the hole deeper here, buddy.
Huh?
You're just digging the hole deeper here, buddy.
Yeah,
I can't help you get out of this one. First off, there's not enough dicks for you. Second off, you're telling me about how you want to go to the gay nightclub. I'm sorry, man.
No, I said if I wanted that many dicks, I would do that.
Which means you have a contingency plan to get as much dick as you need.
Okay, I have a contingency plan for anything. I mean, come on now. But that being said, best time to pick up a chick at a dance club, go on gay night. Because their defenses are down a little bit. And you can kind of swoop in.
If you strike out with the chick, you can, you just get as many dicks as you need.
There might be a decent passable looking trap or something like that.
Oh, God.
If you're drunk and as long as they're facing away from you, it's basically the same thing.
Oh God!
Right?
I'm sorry. That was too funny for me. Is that Pulse Orlando terrorist reference?
Jesus.
Oh, God damn it.
I will have to say though, I got dragged to a dance club for the first time last summer, and some dude in a fishnet shirt came up and started talking to me and whatnot, and I was just like, why are you talking to me? Whatever. Like, I got him to go away, and then the friends I were with, they were like, yeah, he was so hitting on you. I was like, what the fuck? Why'd you just stand there then and let him hit on me and let me be, like, super awkward and, like, have no idea what's going on because some random weird-ass guy in a fishnet shirt is talking to me. They're like, yeah, it was funny. I was like, fuck you guys. Anyways.
It's okay, Aaron. You're not gay.
That's my life.
We definitely don't think you're gay after all of that. Thou doth not protest too much. Anyway, back to the book.
I mean, it was funny looking back on it.
He's gonna keep going.
Like I was like, my friends suck. Why am I friends with you people for letting me sit and suffer through this?
Well, I mean, that's what friends are for, is to make you feel uncomfortable.
Anyways.
You keep coming back to this show, and I'm never nice to you.
See, but that's different. You don't make me feel uncomfortable. Well, usually.
Really? Do you need to read Neonomicon again?
Okay. Besides that.
Oh, God.
No cartoon. It was more like, hey, how's it going? What's your name? Are you having fun tonight?
Want to have some more fun in the
okay, I'll see you
bathroom later? Anyway, back to the story. Before Ayrton talks to us some more about his misadventures of gay night. A former scientist for this Project Lazarus has what the fuck even is this show anymore? I don't even... Like, what's the point? Should we just give up now and just laugh at gay jokes for the rest of the night? Is that where we are with our lives?
I mean, after that, I did have to go outside and have a British cigarette. So.
Of course you did. I wondered why you asked for Pitch Stick 2 electric. I'm gonna try and get through some of this book now. So if you guys are, oh man, bummerfuck. Anyway, Bloodshot taken captive by one of the former scientists of the Lazarus Project. They basically steal his internal memory, which I don't know how that works with nanites, but whatever. He gets away, and the only way they have to subdue him, unlike the movie, is to just shoot him to pieces. And that's what we see here. So, yeah, Bloodshot is basically shot to pieces to subdue him. And that's pretty much your first introduction.
Yeah.
That's the end of issue 1. The second issue opens up, and he's playing catch with his kid. It's the same memories, but this is where we find out that he's got multiple memories in his head, because while he was under interrogation by the doctor that asked him what was going on in his head, he mentioned several different families and several different scenarios and everything, basically implying that Bloodshot's been in commission for a very long time, and this is song and dance has been going on for a while. But the kid, he's playing catch with his kid. His kid dies on a fence, and he wakes up screaming. So it's kind of terrifying. But the nanites.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And what I liked about this at this part, it was kind of. It wasn't like blatant that scientist was telling the truth. It was kind of ambiguous. Like, okay, is he just
fucking with this kid?
With him? Like it wasn't just blatant. Like, okay, the U.S. military people are the bad guy. This guy's the bad-ish good guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if you can really call this character a good guy, but you know what I mean. But there's some ambiguity in this part of the book.
Right. So, let's see here.
And novel bro, I was coughing because I've had this fucking chest cold for like a week and a half, and I'm super phlegmy, and every time I start laughing, I cough. It's really annoying. Anyways.
But essentially, he wakes up under the government's, being subdued by the government. His nanites manifest themselves into, ghost, if you will. They're translucent hallucinations of what his families are like in his memories. But there's there's so many different ones that he finally starts to understand that nothing he's ever believed that he can remember is real. And I mean, it makes him a tragic character in one fell swoop. You immediately sympathize for the guy, but then he realizes he's on a plane, and now that he's beaten the shit out of and killed everyone, the plane is crashing. So you cut over to his handlers. His handlers can't, get a grasp on where he's at until the plane goes down, and they're like, oh shit, the very expensive weapon that just crashed into the ground. Somebody should go get that. And all in all, during this time, Bloodshot's been picked up by an ambulance from the wreckage, and he just kind of gets up talking about how he needs protein. And this is where you see that he can, control electrical devices and whatnot. He short circuits the ambulance, makes it just lurch to a crawl or to a halt. He gets out, and I believe it's implied that he slaughters and eats the shit out of a cow.
I mean, I would.
But he he tells the woman who was in the ambulance with him that she needs to drive, and he's like, where are we going? He's home. And then you get a cut over to another blatantly evil scientist and some enforcers and whatnot, and they're using, the girl in the beginning, no, that's not the girl they've got tied up in the vault. That's a different girl.
Okay.
This girl can just short
Yeah,
circuit.
I wasn't
Bloodshot.
I wasn't sure about that because it's like similar-ish powers.
Ayrton McFlimmy. Dinner on the Hoof. Yeah. Ayrton, the phlegmatic McCartney's blues guitar riff wail with testosterone. Yep. But yeah, this is supposed to be the foil to Bloodshot, and this is a girl with powers enough to shut down a city's block worth of electricity, basically by being a human EMP. So this is what they're sending out after him.
Which you've obviously read more of this. Do they ever explain kind of like, are her powers caused from experimentation? Is she born with them? Do they ever go into that in the later volumes?
They do. I believe it's in the Harbinger Wars. They talk about how everyone's powers manifested or were made, or they got them from technology or whatever. I don't think there are a lot of naturally occurring, advanced humans in this universe. I'm pretty sure it was all experimentation and secret underground BS. But in the new reboot, I'm not too sure. But anyway, every time Bloodshot, nods off, apparently he realizes he's got data banks, in his head where he can recognize facial structures and things like that. And he uses them to pinpoint where one of his quote-unquote wives lives. And this is kind of fucked up, but in the course of figuring out where this woman lives, he posts up outside of her place and basically holds a gun to her kid. Seems a little bit fucked up.
I want. I want to know where he got the goddamn sniper rifle from, though.
He pulled it out of his ass, I'm guessing. He made it out of nanomachines.
Fair enough.
But he, he's training the gun on the kid to make sure that the woman cooperates and tells him what he wants to know. And he finds out that a lot of his memories were created from the memories and the people that this scientist that we just saw kidnap him and, steal his memories again. Very convoluted, but it's well written. I'm not saying that. I'm just having a hard time explaining it because when you try and explain it, like, there's so much that I'm just kind of glossing over, like, all the little nuances and what. Like, this cat literally has no idea what he is. So he's learning all of this stuff about himself for what seems to be the first time. But based on the nature of his character, for all we know, this could be the 10th or 11th time this has happened.
Right.
I mean, he
at least the second time, right?
Well, I mean, he's been known to go awry a couple of times. But I guess it's implied that because that doctor was screwing with him, that's kind of what fried his memories and made him a little less controllable. But he puts this together and he finds out that this
electric chick.
Yeah, he finds out that this doctor has basically planted memories of people that the doctor knew and things that are just completely false to Bloodshot in his mind. So now Bloodshot has no idea who he was or what memories he has that were even somewhat authentic because he has to question everything he thinks he knows now. And while I guess that's a good reason to set something as fucked up as this up, I don't really see how this became the plan. So you cut over and you find out that yes, the military is transporting the EMP chick, and now right. And then you go back to the family of his quote unquote wife. They talk about things a little more, and the ambulance driver and the woman try to take him out, and that just doesn't work. And he's like, "You're wasting your time," because the hole in his chest just heals up immediately. He's like, "We don't have time for this. Something horrible's headed this way. Take your son and go away as fast as you can." And now he's driving the ambulance with the nanites talking to him. It's very, very motionful. Like you guys said, like it's very action packed. It's very fast paced. This is a 90-something page volume, and it reads so quickly.
Yeah.
Because this is almost the end. You get a little bit of character development with the girl that they're keeping prisoner. And she swears that she's going to kill her captors. And, this guy jumps out holding her on a leash. She lets loose an EMP. The ambulance that Deadshot's driving flips. He kind of short circuits. And then you get her name, and they call her Pulse. But he crawls out of the wreckage, and the guy that's carrying Pulse puts a bullet in her head, or in his head. And then you get kind of an idea of where the nanites came from, because they're trying to duplicate the experiment in a flashback. Deadshot comes in, and his orders are basically to contain
Bloodshot.
everything. Yes, Bloodshot. God damn it. I keep doing it. I'm not even drinking. Like, I don't understand. But Bloodshot comes in and basically murders everyone because
It's
these are
because
his
you're
orders.
Southern and English is your second language.
That's true. So, but yeah, this is the second time that they've had to use her to stop him, and that's what this is telling. Is the flashback of the first time she's had to stop Bloodshot, and she's given a gun. She hits him with an EMP, and she's kind of reliving that. Before the ambulance driver catches up with him with the sniper rifle and backs off the guy who's holding Pulse by a leash. Bloodshot takes a gun out of her waistband and knocks over a couple of guards that are coming after him. But these 4 issues are basically just an origin story, because by the end, you've got Bloodshot, you've got this ambulance driver, you've got this chick named Pulse, who's on the loose, and
There's some there's some interesting stuff going down in the chat right now.
Oh, I believe it. So
I think we're about to have the first Gospel of Comics Inquisition / Crusade. So watch out.
As long as nobody wants to be who the fuck does like the video? They're free to dislike it. That's fine. Interaction's interaction. Time to release suspension. Retroactive mandatory abortion. Oh no. Oh no.
Can you have an abortion at 432 weeks?
Yeah, that's like the 80th trimester. Absolutely. But no. All in all, you get this ragtag group of people, and they somehow make it to an armory somewhere where everybody gets suited up, and that leads into volume 2. So it's 4 issues long. Each issue's about 30 pages. Well, not even. It's about 28 pages. They're regular sized issues.
Yeah.
But
I think I read all of this in like an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah. So, I mean, all in all, I really enjoyed this when I first read it. Reading back through it, I know what happens to Bloodshot, and it kind of sours that taste in my mouth a little bit, but this run is a really good run, and this character is really interesting because like I said, it's a little bit of RoboCop, it's a little bit of it's a little bit of everything, but it's gritty. It's a little more adult oriented. Yeah. It's not. I don't know. It's not cutesy. It's not ashamed of the fact that people get shot in the face in this book.
Right.
But at the same time, it's not sexual for the sake of being sexual, I guess is what I'm going for.
Yeah. Right. It's a straightforward action adventure sci-fi, and
with espionage involved, because your main character is essentially an espionage weapon.
Right. And
so
I haven't read the other volumes. I really, really like this a lot. What you said off air though, I think I might just stop here. I might not go read the other stuff like
Well,
I have
I
in
mean,
the
you might.
past with other things you've introduced me to.
You'll probably like the 6 volumes in this run. But I would be
Okay.
really weary of anything outside of this run that just said
Okay.
Bloodshot
Fair
on it.
enough.
And I've got it on good authority that they just restarted a new Bloodshot comic, and I've read the first issue of that. It's but what are you gonna do? So I'll bring that back up
Yeah,
while we wrap up. That's pretty much all I had for tonight was to go through that and to talk about
Yeah.
the movie a
Well,
little bit. But I mean, all in all,
well, you know,
go ahead.
oh, go ahead and finish. No, go ahead. I have a completely different topic. Go ahead and finish
Oh no! All in all,
your thing on this.
the movie could be interesting. I look for it to be a lot like this volume, but I don't know. I'm a little disappointed that they didn't try at all to at least get and it kind of makes me feel a little hypocritical because again, with Watchmen, I was a little disappointed that they leaned so heavily on the visuals and imagery of the story, but I don't feel like they took
Right.
advantage at all in this to give Vin Diesel any kind of look to resemble or homage this character. So
Right. There's definitely a balancing act you need to do when adapting a comic book story to screen,
right,
whether it's TV or movie. You don't want to just rely on imagery and callbacks and Easter eggs to the comic if you're doing something totally not related to it whatsoever.
yeah,
But if it's blatantly the story of a character, you want to have that aesthetic and imagery and Easter eggs and all that kind of fun stuff to make it worth watching.
yeah. Well,
Right.
and you'd want to. I figured
But
you'd want to tie it together as well. Like you want your characters to, if I've always wondered why they don't focus the movies on introducing more people to the comic books.
right. Well, because they don't care. Right.
Probably, but I mean,
That's not really their bottom line.
it's a $2 million advertisement for your comic book industry. I mean, if I figured you'd
Right.
but Judge Dredd, that's another one. I don't
Yeah.
know why I never thought of that, but yeah, Judge Dredd did a lot of things that this movie is claiming to do twice. One with Sly Stone and one with that other guy that was arguably better.
Yeah. But we'll bring it back around to comics again. So, your boy Zach.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, I follow his stuff, and when something new comes out and we're planning on going over it for our show, if I see his video comes out first, I tend to not watch it just so I don't taint subconsciously any of my thoughts on a story or whatever.
Right.
But today I watched his review of Marauders #1.
Yeah.
And I think this might be the first time that I disagree with him.
How so?
So did you watch his review of it yet?
I have not, no.
Okay. I don't know. Since we have the time, I see where he was coming from. He said the story came across like you're like they're kind of turning the X-Men into kind of like, villainistic kind of like terrorist sort of, faction of the X-Men and stuff like that. But I'm kind of wondering if a little bit of what he's gone through over the past, year and a half or so, if he's getting a little bit bitter for it. Because we both thought it was a really good story overall. you know, it was
Yeah.
a different twist on some of these characters.
Well,
But I don't know, the way he kind of like tore it down, I was kind of like, really?
well,
I think you might be taking your criticism a little bit too far with it. If you look at it in the broader context of the entire like Hickman like House and Powers of storyline, the Marauders storyline makes sense.
right.
If it was just a random one-off book, yeah, I would get that. If they just like out of nowhere made Marauders #1 in this context with no other backstory to it, I could see what he means by it. But in the larger context of the story,
What was his criticism exactly?
I'm not sure. Well, his criticism is they made, you know, they're going around to other like to the sovereign countries that, you know, opposed the Krakoan treaty or whatever.
Yeah.
Recognizing them as a country, right, and went to rescue these mutants and bring them to Krakoa.
Uh-huh.
He criticized that as the X-Men being more so like villains and terrorists, and like Kitty Pryde, like, you know, her putting the M16 through the two guys' knees, that kind of stuff, like, you know, that's out of character, and kind of like that kind of stuff. Like she was just kind of like mean and brutal, like too brutal than what she should be as a character and stuff like that. And that was his kind of his biggest criticism, is the X-Men coming across more as like villains and terrorists than like heroes. And I don't think that's really what that story was supposed to be, though.
Well, even if you take it in
like,
that
I don't think
regard,
they're
like,
supposed.
I don't disagree with
Like-
that in the sense that it feels more like, yeah, they're not bubbly superheroes anymore.
Right.
But at the same
they're
time,
not supposed to be at this point in the story.
right? And at the same time, like their mission statement is we don't kill. It never said we won't maim.
Right.
But
Yeah, it says we don't, like, those are the laws of Krakoa. Don't kill humans,
Mhm.
make more mutants, and whatever the other couple things were.
respect Krakoa.
Oh, yeah, respect Krakoa.
But my thing is, like, I get it. I definitely understand that criticism, especially in the sense of it is kind of pulling the question of morality. You know what I mean?
It is, and that's what I liked about it.
But at the same time, for that to be your major criticism, like, okay, you don't like the way the character was developed. I agree with you that is, you know, there's one thing between, okay, how do I say this? There's one thing in being, I disagree with the way they're writing, say, Batman. Okay?
Yeah.
I don't like Tom King's Batman run. There are a lot of people that do, but there's more people that don't. I don't begrudge anyone their opinion on anything. But at the same time, like, I like the way that this new X-Men is being just thrown together almost. They're being given a new breath on life, and Kitty Pryde's been an amoral character for a while. She's been through some shit.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah, I think she's an underrated tragic character for the X-Men, really.
yeah. So, you know, she's lost Colossus a couple of times. You know, she's been assumed dead a couple of times. It just, it makes sense for her character to be a little more edgy now than maybe when she was first introduced.
Right. Well, and especially being rejected by Krakoa at the beginning of it. Obviously, she's going to be a little bit she's going to be a little bit bitter about that.
Well,
Everybody else gets to go except her. And we don't know why yet. I think your theory about her powers being able to discover Moira and that would ruin kind of everything is a pretty good theory as to why she's not able to get in.
well,
And I don't know. I thought I just thought his criticism was a bit loose
well,
for it.
I think Richard C. Meyer, he did Jawbreakers, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And I think I've even heard Ethan Van Sciver say this. He's very, very limited on what kind of comics that he likes. He writes what he likes, and what he likes is basically G.I. Joes.
Yeah.
So,
which makes sense.
If that's what
knowing
you like,
his background,
you're probably not going to be a big fan of seemingly militaristic, terroristic type themes in this book, and that again, it makes sense. Xavier and Magneto essentially set themselves up as terrorists through House of X and Powers of X. I think the interesting part's going to see where that goes. Like,
right?
Are they because that's honestly that's what I see happening. I see the event eventually. There's going to be a war between metahumans like the Avengers and the Fantastic Four and mutants.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
I'm sure some mutants will, kind of be a little worried with this playing God shit that they're doing eventually, but right now we're still in the build up for it. I know a lot of people had issues with the the gay Iceman and stuff like that, but I don't feel like it was oversaturated or anything like that. I feel like
I mean,
and that
he was a bit flamboyant, but it wasn't like in your face.
And I feel like this is a great time as any to really spout my philosophy in this kind of stuff as well. I don't begrudge anybody their opinion. If Richard C. Meyer hates a book that I like, that's cool. That's his prerogative. I don't think any less of him or value his opinion any less for that. We can calmly disagree and say, I enjoyed it. I may be more of an X-Men fan than he is. I may be more of a Kitty Pryde fan than he is. Or I may be more accepting of what they're trying to do here.
Yeah, and I agree. He's entitled to his opinion, and normally, like in his reviews, it's kind of one of those. It's kind of like, yeah, I definitely can see that. The propaganda, the whatever stuff is definitely over the top in this what you're showing. I don't know. It seemed a bit stretching for this one to me.
One thing that I've noticed, and this could just be
so
us.
That's why I'm just wondering if he's just getting a little bit too nihilistic about the industry. Like what we talked about. You picked up. We had for the longest time avoided Marvel and DC stuff as much as for a long time, and you had picked up what was it, Absolute Carnage?
Yeah.
And something else. And
Deceased.
I
think it was.
And Deceased, and talked about how you had kind of written off Marvel and DC, me as well, as being able to produce good books. And I think there's not just with Zach, but with kind of the whole indie comicscape movement as a whole has really been discrediting and just like blowing off almost anything that these two are putting out. And even if there's some problems with the storyline, you know, they can still be good books, and I
Right.
wouldn't just, I don't know, I felt like he was too fast to write it off.
Yeah. Um, like I feel like there's stuff that's coming out that's good, and I feel like maybe the issue is, and I think you touched on this a little bit in what you were trying to get across there, but at a certain point, I think it becomes harder to find something positive to say. I mean,
Right.
I make it a valiant effort every week to give every book that I read the benefit of the doubt, regardless of who wrote it, regardless of whatever. Um, I
Yeah.
I think that something like best flamboyant heterosexual in comics movies, mine would obviously be Gambit. Yeah.
That's very true.
Um, or if we're just sticking with X Men, Warren Worthington is
Oh yeah.
he's pretty good at it.
He's super, like, ultra metrosexual,
hmm But
but one of my favorite X-Men.
I
Who
think
wouldn't want giant ass angel wings so you could fly around?
yeah, I think that there's some positive things going on in comics. I think that maybe some of these commenters should take a look back and step outside of their comfort zone and maybe try and find something that is worth saying something nice about. But again, at the same
Yeah.
time, their prerogative. I don't give a shit what they do. That's their prerogative. They can
It
be
is.
negative Nancy's about the comic book industry for the rest of their days. I I
Yeah.
like good comic books. I don't like people telling me what I should like. So obviously, Zenoscope, Unbound, for example. I avoid
Right.
Zenoscope like the damn plague because all it is half naked women for the most part. They put out Unbound, and I was like, well, it doesn't have a half naked woman on the cover. How much would it be to hope that there isn't one inside the book? And for the most part, there wasn't. I
Right.
mean, there was some scantily clad drawing, but it wasn't just obnoxious in your face cheesecake.
And a threesome with Abraham Lincoln.
Well, that did happen, but what are you going to do? Um, but for the most part,
But
it was a decent
yeah,
book. And if you don't have
yeah,
if you don't have it in you to step outside of your bias, then you're doing yourself more of a disservice than. I mean, your audience is going to come for what the audience comes for.
right. And I think that could be a little bit of it.
That's I think that's a lot of what it is. People just kind of get used to being the guy that just shits on everything that the mainstream puts out, and that's fine.
Right.
I don't expect Ethan Van Sciver to ever say a good thing about a future Star Wars project ever. And if he does, I'm pretty
Right.
sure his fan base would just completely mutiny on him. But
Yeah. And I mean, we have biases. I think we try on this show, at least try and give everything a fair shot for the most part. But both of
absolutely.
us have our own biases. I like way different stuff than you do.
Oh yeah, yeah. Sometimes when you suggest something, I'm like, really? But
But and that's okay. I think stuff should be given a fair
a fair shot.
given a fair shot. And I think he was just, I don't know, like I said, I think he's just become a little bit too nihilistic about the
The state of the industry.
and was a little bit too nihilist and too harsh on that particular book. And I don't know, I still like him. I'm still going to watch his content.
Yeah.
It was just different than stuff I've seen in the past. Like, okay, most of the time when I've seen him review stuff, I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I see where you're coming from. But this time it was kind of like, yeah, really? I mean, when you take into context everything else that's come out, and then you read this book, like those are your criticisms. I mean, this kind of development makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like an out of the blue sort of thing, and that's
Well,
I
I'm
know
pretty
I
sure.
think
I'm pretty sure
that's
Kitty
what
Pryde was
kind
set up to
of
be the.
what kind of bothered me.
I'm pretty sure they basically just set Kitty Pryde up to be the Red King, and that was the whole point of Marauders.
Yeah, which would be a really interesting twist.
So, unless the film was actually
But
good, then EVS fans would go see it. Yeah, but you know they're never going to make a good Star Wars movie again.
oh God, no, never.
But anyway, I think that'll about
That would
wrap
be
it up.
like if my dick started ejaculating chocolate covered $100 bills.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be the note we end on. Um,
Of course it is.
why? We were so far past the gay stuff, and you just had to bring it back around, didn't you?
Hey, it's my thing. What can I say?
Everybody wants the BBC.
See, and you just made it so much worse.
Anyway, I definitely appreciate everybody coming out. I had a blast. Like I said, I was looking at what we were going to cover tonight, and Bloodshot just kind of was at the forefront of everything, and I was like, there's enough material here to make a show out of Bloodshot. So,
Yeah.
I appreciate everybody coming out and dealing with our audio issues. And we will see you guys again next time. Probably be tomorrow, but I will keep you informed on that. So.
And good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Have a good